Welcome to my interview with Sultan Mohammed. He is one of my students who recently took the IELTS exam. So welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Great, great. Okay, so let's start first of all with which exam did you take? Because you know there's two different types of exams.
I had the computer-based one. Thankfully, I heard the paper-based one is harder.
As you know, you guys are getting ready for the paper-based exam, but because of circumstances, we had the option of taking the computer-based exam. So how was the computer-based, even though you were preparing for the paper-based exam?
It wasn't too difficult because most of the stuff was just the same, just on a computer. If anything, the writing would have been easier for me because it's just typing. And I don't have the best handwriting, so I don't know if they're going to cut marks for that in the IELTS. Okay. Other than that, the reading was, I think it would have been easier on the paper-based exam. Because honestly, after a while, all you see is just a big paragraph or just a blur on the paper-based exam. The screen just tires your eyes out.
Gotcha. Just refresh me once again. What was your total score overall?
I got a 7.5.
7.5. Okay. Now, how do you think you arrived at this mark? In other words, like, what sort of steps did you take? How did you prepare?
The first thing and what prepared me the most for this was the school I used to go to, because I used to study at a private school and everything was in English. So it helped me prepare for a lot of the stuff I encountered here with the MSAT and the IELTS. But what actually prepared me the most for the IELTS, and not just English in general, was what you teach us actually, and all of the videos that you showed us and the exams on it, because everything you said was right.
Some of the materials that I provided, how did that help you prepare? Like, what did you do? Did you look at the videos and then like kind of study based on those tips?
Yeah, because when I watched the videos, I knew what to expect and what I should prepare for and what to give the exam, what do they call it?
The examiner.
The examiner or the proctor. I knew what to give them, especially in the speaking, because that helped me out a lot.
So you kind of worked your way backwards from the information that was given to you in the course, in the videos. And yeah, exactly. You need to give the examiners what they want, regardless if it's the writing or the speaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just mentioned the speaking because it's the most applicable there.
Right.
Because there you're just one-on-one with the examiner, just talking to them.
Right. Let's go in order now. Let's talk about the listening. So as you know, that's the first section of the exam.
Yeah.
How did that go for you?
Thankfully, the audio quality was pretty good. So I was able to listen to what they said pretty well. And it wasn't too difficult. You just had to listen closely. The accent kind of threw me off because I'm not used to listening to people with a British accent.
All right. So what accents did you encounter for the listening? Only British?
It was mostly British. I think there was one of the parts of it that was in an American accent or a North American accent.
Yeah.
But most of them were in British.
Did you notice there was a difference in the difficulty of levels for listening, like from section 1 through section 2, section 3, section 4?
Yeah, I would say so, but it wasn't in the audio itself. It was more in the questions and how they're presented. For example, I think section 1 was just names and dates. It was about someone who was picking a villa to rent, I think.
What about for the last section of listening, section 4?
Yeah,
that's academic. Normally that's academic. That'll be a lecture format of a professor or an instructor. So do you recall what you had for that section?
I don't remember it that well. I remember what I had for section 3 though. Section 3 was definitely more difficult than section 2 and 1.
Right.
Section 3 consisted of an audio playing, obviously, and a map where you had to listen carefully and pinpoint where the person talking is on that map.
Section 4, you don't recall, but was it progressively more difficult than 3?
It was definitely more difficult than 3. I
And
remember that at least.
I think that was probably all multiple choice. Was it?
I think it was a mix of multiple choice and answers you had to actually type.
Oh, like gap fill.
Yeah.
Okay. What about for section 1, section 2? Did you have to do like a table?
I don't remember what I did on section 2,
At
honestly.
least gap fill.
Yeah, there was definitely gap fill and multiple choice. Section 4 definitely had more gap fill than multiple choice.
What about true, false, not given? Any
True,
of that?
false,
for-
not given. I think I had
listening?
it on section 3. I think it was there.
All right, let's move on to reading. Everyone's favorite. Not.
Not.
It's challenging. As you know, we got the 3 reading passages for academic
Yeah.
IELTS, and they become increasingly more challenging. So how did you attack this part of the exam?
The first section was honestly not that difficult. It was just some stuff that you had to read, just scan it and skim it, and you'll be fine for section 1. Section 2 became more difficult, not only because of the passage getting actually more difficult, but also because my eyes started to get tired because I was just sitting right in front of the screen, just
Right.
looking at words. It wasn't too challenging. It was something I was able to do normally. Section 3 was confusing because the passage that I got was random. Each paragraph was different than the other one, but they all had this one, I mean, not literal, but a figurative thing between them that's common. But it's hard to figure out. It was hard to figure out, and you had to read everything to answer the questions.
Normally, we would encourage students not to read everything because you just don't have enough time.
Yeah.
And as you know, I think I told you guys many times, there's about approximately 3,000 words that you would have to read for the entire reading section. And nobody has time for that in 60 minutes. Did you have any time strategy, time management to get through it?
Yeah. Since I knew that they would get progressively more difficult as we went on, I didn't focus too much on actually reading everything and on all the details.
Good.
In section 1. I mostly just read the questions first, and then through that, I'll know what to pick up from the paragraph. So I just scanned it.
Okay.
Same thing almost for section 2, but section 2 had a little more difficulty in it. So you had to actually focus more.
Let's talk about time management for the reading. I was telling you guys that it's a better idea to kind of steal time from passage 1 and passage 2 so you can allocate more time for passage 3 because it's more difficult. Did you try to do this strategy?
Yeah, that's what I talked about with the just scanning it really quickly. I just went through the questions first. I didn't even bother looking at the paragraph first. I went through the questions to know what I should look for, and then just scan the paragraphs quickly, just so that I can finish and then go back to section 3. Because you can go back on your questions.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So
Computer-based.
I finished my last section, section 3, and then I went back to just revise and make sure I got everything correctly. That was my strategy. Finish up with 1 and 2 quickly, focus on 3, and then go back to 2 and 1.
Question about the computer-based for listening. As you know, for the paper-based, when you guys did the mock practice exams, you guys are given a question booklet.
Yeah.
And typically with a question booklet, that's yours. So you can write on it, you can underline, you can circle. Did you have this kind of option available for CBT?
No, actually.
You can't like highlight text or make any kind of digital notes?
No. You just had to click on the answer and that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
So your only options for the CBT is you can go forward or backwards.
Yeah.
You can't take any notes, highlighting. Okay,
No.
Good to know. Anything else you'd like to cover for the listening?
I would say for section 1, you don't even have to focus all that much because it's just mostly multiple choice. There will be some gap fill, but there's just some easy words and
I think it's more to get the test taker acclimatized, and get them into listening mode.
I guess maybe, and does it pretty well. It's not too hard, it's not too challenging. You can do it pretty easy.
What steps or recommendations would you give to someone getting ready for the listening component?
For the listening, I would basically stop myself first just to get myself in that focusing mood, because you kind of need it in section 3 and 4. You can't miss a thing because you can't play back the audio twice.
Right.
So you have to listen to everything in very good details, or else you'll just miss it. And that's why I think if you've never done the IELTS before, or you've never done a mock before, you should focus a little more on 1 and 2 so that you know how to deal with 3 and 4.
And it's probably a good idea to have a lot of practice with different accents so that you're not only familiar, say, with North American
Definitely.
as well as British. Did you have
Australian.
Australian on this?
Kind of sounded Australian, but I wasn't too sure. Maybe it was British. I don't know the difference all too well.
Similar.
Yeah, they're very similar. But yeah, British accents can be pretty confusing sometimes,
Right.
because some words just sound different, honestly. So yeah, I think you should have at least a little practice with other accents.
Any tips that you would like to pass on to future test takers for the reading section?
Definitely. One of the biggest things that will help you during the reading exam is learning how to skim and scan effectively and efficiently, because you don't have time to waste on the reading
Right.
exam. It's a lot of words and so little time that you actually need it. It's a necessity while doing the IELTS.
Okay, guys, this wraps up things for this week. Hey, did this help you out? Let me know by giving it a like and subscribe. See links to our courses in the description for this week's show. If you're on the go, you can get the same content in our podcast. Take care, guys, and catch you in the next one.